You know, I'm hearing one question a lot these days. What should we do about the offering? Is it even necessary to still pass the plates in worship? Should we just put a box at the back where people who want to leave a gift can do so? It all, of course, has to do with the way COVID has changed a great many things in the world, and especially in the church. Most certainly the way we receive people's financial gifts. It's among one of the most significant shifts I can ever remember. Almost overnight, churches who had resisted electronic giving platforms scrambled to get something in place. As buildings remained closed for months on end with no on-site public expressions of worship, many individuals who themselves had resisted giving electronically finally came over to the dark side and stopped sending checks through the mail and joined the way of the world in 21st century finance. Why not? It's convenient, it's effective, and for many now, it's become a habit. One way to view this, of course, is as a very positive development. As more and more people set up monthly contributions through automatic withdrawals, cash flow has improved, and it's become more consistent. This bolsters ministry and mission, not to mention making many a church treasurer a much happier person. When we finally returned to our sanctuaries, fully masked and armed with gallons of sanitizer, we found that we could administer the sacrament of communion in touchless ways that felt safe. But what about that offering plate? At my church, we continued to encourage electronic giving and simply put the offering plates at the back of the sanctuary, so folks who wanted to return to an envelope style of giving could do so. But it was clear from the content in those plates after worship, this was a pretty small group of people. Now, of course, we're feeling safe enough to pass the communion trays through the pews, but what about those offering plates? With so few people using them, it seems like maybe this is the perfect time to trim a few minutes from worship and not make such a big deal about money. What if we just didn't receive the offering anymore? Just encourage online giving, leave a box at the back for people who want to give a check or cash, and essentially we could stop calling attention to giving altogether since it appears to make people so uncomfortable. Maybe we should just stop it. But before you answer that question, I think it would be helpful to ask a different question. Why did we have a moment to receive an offering in the first place? Was it simply a pragmatic response to the issue of moving money from people's pocket to the church's checking account? Or as a part of our liturgy, the work of the people, did it have a deeper theological meaning? A few more questions then surface. What does it mean for people to make an offering? What does it mean for the church to receive and bless that offering? In my tradition, one of our founders, Alexander Campbell, wrote that the offering should be received after the service of communion so as not to suggest that the offering was anything but a response to the grace of God, and to make it clear that the invitation to communion at the Lord's table was a free and gracious gift of God. One did not have to pay for the privilege of accessing the table. The Restoration movement, from which Campbell was a part, would be considered pretty low church when it comes to liturgy. But nonetheless, there is a clear understanding about both what the offering meant and, by its placement in the service, what it didn't mean. In higher church liturgies, such as the Catholic and Episcopal traditions, the gifts of the people are offered at the time of communion, along with the gifts of bread and wine, with an understanding that they'll be transformed. The bread and the wine will become the presence of Jesus, and the gifts of the people will move from the realm of the secular to the realm of the holy. Even the people themselves will be different because of their encounter with Christ and the elements of the Eucharist. You see, when the church receives the offerings of the people, it acknowledges that giving is a fitting response, that the gifts have potential power, and in blessing them, the church seeks to unleash that power on behalf of and in the name of God. The church is a portal for sustaining the flow of God's blessings into the world. These are pretty rich concepts, especially the recognition that our giving is intentional and related primarily to the action of God. It's in response to the providential nature of God the giver. In giving, we imitate the character of God, and we acknowledge that the very reason we have is because God first gave. Personally, I can't imagine a regular service of worship that doesn't provide people with a chance to offer their gifts for the church to bless, and for those gifts to be blessed in their purpose. It's just that now we simply may not be putting money in the plate. So how is it that we could use that time and not lose the meaning of this sacred exchange? Well, many churches have cards available in the worship space that say something to the effect of, "This card represents a financial gift made electronically." I think those are fine and done well with the church logo and mission statement on them in heavy card stock and kind of police so that they don't get dog-eared and dirty. They're really a perfect representation of cash or check. And I think we should encourage their use. But the offering can and perhaps should be about more than money. I'd urge you to consider what other gifts people might want to offer if given the chance. A card available in the worship space might allow people to write down some gifts they wish to offer. Prayer, volunteering, visiting people, inviting people, or ways they might like to express their other gifts, whether it's a gift of music or maybe a gift of accounting or marketing or helping you with the church website. You could provide some simple prompts that would both remind people of the ministries the church is engaged in and the avenues through which their gifts can find expression. Should we stop the offering? Or by doing so, do we risk losing the connection between the gift and the giver and the work the gift enables? The financial support of the church is reduced to a simple transaction that's taken care of automatically. I fear people might lose the connection between what that number in their monthly statement means and the real work it makes possible. You see, if there's a communal action involved when I'm present, it becomes more relational and less abstract. And done well, the invitation to this moment can help connect these gifts and make your mission possible. Now, we'll cover that in another segment. But again, should we stop the offering? I think I'd answer those other questions first, and you may discover you have your answer already. And it may be more than money that you'll receive in the plate the next time you pass it. For the Center for Faith and Giving, I'm Bruce Barkhauer.